The purpose of this session is to give you advice, tips and tricks, and all of these surround the idea of answering the questions in a very time efficient as well as accurate manner. So I'm going to give you a lot of advice on each of the different sections, and if you remember correctly, there are 3 sections that this math paper is split into: the MCQ section, as well as section B, which is the short answer questions, and then section C, which are your long answer questions. So those are your generally 4 and 5 mark questions. So I'll be going through section by section, where I'll first give you some generic tips, and then I'll go through the relevant section in the paper, where I will specifically choose to answer certain questions in greater depth, but generally highlight to you all the different parts of the different questions, and then we will cover the paper as much as we can. I would also not like to make this session too long, because I think it should be short and concise for you. So I should identify the main parts of the questions which I think are most relevant to you, so that it is most beneficial for you. So firstly, we'll be looking at section 1, which is your MCQ. And the MCQ section, with all due honesty, is the main section in which you should be scoring full marks. Like, try your best in every paper, like every practice paper, and eventually your SE2 as well as your future papers in primary school. MCQ is one of the few sections which tend to be very guided, because you have a lot of answers and options given to you. So there is a lot of avenue for you to answer the questions correctly, because the answers will also give you a rough estimate on what you should probably be getting. So the generic tips that I would say would firstly be to identify the main keywords that are held in the specific question. So for example, if we can identify words such as factors, multiples, mass and volume, these are all important keywords that relate back to a specific topic within your syllabus. And these will then eventually give you a good idea or a thought process that you should be adopting. And I will go through examples for these tips that I'm giving over here. The second tip that I would generally give a lot of students would be to recognize important portions of the questions as you read. And this is especially important so that you can avoid careless mistakes. As much as MCQ is a section where a lot of people tend to do well, because a lot of the questions tend to be basic and rather guided because of the options being given, there is also a lot of avenue to make careless mistakes, because you do not have to present your working or anything. So people tend to neglect a lot of the important portions in the question. So simple things like not a factor, people may assume the question is asking for a factor, but is asking for the answer that is not a factor. So all of these are important portions of the questions that you should specifically take note of, so that you can avoid careless mistakes. The ideal way to complete the MCQ section will definitely be to solve all the questions, and this is the most ideal. But you should realize that you may not necessarily have to do that for every single question, because of the other option that we have, and that is elimination. Ideally, for any math paper, our main aim or focus is going to be to solve the question, just so we can make sure that our answers are accurate and correct. And in the event that we are not able to solve the question, one should realize that you should not spend too much of time on it during the math paper, but instead move through elimination and find the best possible answer, and then move ahead with it.